Good day and good evening, and welcome back to Roulette Live with me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. As usual, about 10 roulettes, maybe about 3 hours, whichever comes last, is the plan. Now, I'm not fully sure what to play. I was thinking tank, and I was thinking like paladin and or gunbreaker, because last week we played Black Mage, and the week before that we played Astrologian. So it would make sense to rotate to a tank. Alternatively, I could also play something like Viper. That my Viper is geared enough to queue for Mentor Roulette. So that would be an option. What about Fist Ranged? That could also be. It's been a while since I played Fist Range. Is my Fist Range high enough item level? It is. Like, barely. We could do Fist Range. It's been a long time since I played Fist Range in Mentor Roulette, I think. Sure. Now, that said, hey Shaman, hey Seros, hey Naomi, hey Tremere, hey Barry, hey Meso, hey Agent Monica, hey Tina Lee, hey Zaf, hey Ilana, hey Vids, hey Kaj, hey Sally, hey DPS, hey Tabi, hey Aradel, hey Stingera, hey Liv, hey Endersack Boy, and hey Kiwi. Hope you're all doing very well. Also, speaking of Black Mage, you know, and not just Black Mage and actually just content creation for a second. Something really fantastic about sometimes when I release videos, or shorts even, is that I may know something, but sometimes me saying what I know leads to someone giving me more information. The most fantastic one is that pretty much every single time I've made a video where I talk about weird optimization tricks for Black Mage, someone has just gone like, here's another one. Have it. It's on the house. I'm like, thanks. And yeah, exactly, Asymmetricon is definitely part of that one this time around. Also, hey, Asymmetricon and Rust, hope you're doing well. Barry says, how far are you on the achievement? We are at 1,368. So, the two things is that the first one, I release a short about something that happens in the Chrysalis. I remembered and knew that you get a dot before you enter the White Room thing. So if you keep running away, you can outrun it. So you don't go into the White Room with a dot. I was informed that, well, not only is it a dot, it also triples all damage you take. Which is the reason why, if you have the dot when you go into the White Room, if you get hit by one of the meteors, you die. But if you outrun the dot, then you can tank the meteors as a DPS, no problem. Maybe you need a heal every now and then, but like a ranged physical can do it, no problem. And that's true, Liv. The weird thing is that I didn't clock that. It's been a while at least. It's also, I would also add that I believe it just says it increases damage taken. That could be 10%. I didn't expect 200%. But that would explain a lot, right? That's the first one. The second one is that is stuff with Black Mage. Asymmetricon made me realize a very obvious trick with Black Mage that is just overlooked because it stops mattering once you hit level 58. And the trick that it evolves into is usable before level 58. So you just do that one, right? I was like, Nim, hope you're doing well. So the trick is, essentially, you may remember that I've talked all about UI1 B3 Swiftcast. If you finish your Astral Fire state with an instant cast, i.e. Firestarter or Thunder, then you transpose Swiftcast Blizzard 3, so you get like a full potency Blizzard 3, instead of like a hot one. And then you cast Blizzard 1, of course. So the very obvious trick is a hot Blizzard 3 is stronger than a cold Blizzard 1. It's like 23 potency greater. But it is greater. And more importantly, this trick is way easier to perform because it does not require any setup beforehand. The trick, essentially, is that instead of swift casting and then transposing and swift casting as you go into Blizzard 3, what you do is you just do this, swift cast, and then you just swift cast the Blizzard 3 instead. And this particular trick also enables another trick that beforehand was problematic. So I've said, as it turns out erroneously, that the AF1F3P, which is where you carry a fire starter into, like, to enter your astral fire state. I've said erroneously that that's not as good as just sending the fire starter before you exit. I had overlooked a minor thing. It is technically the case that just sending the fire starter would be better if you only get one, but that's not how that works. However, the main problem with AF1F3P at low level is the only instant you have to set up this transpose is Thunder. And you need to know that that Thunder will be there as you exit Blizzard 3. Otherwise, you don't have anything to weave it with and you don't want it. Then you'd be better off just sending it before you exit. But if your game plan as you exit Astral Fire is actually to cast Blizzard 3 and then swift cast Blizzard 3, then you can just transpose after that Blizzard 3. Which means that essentially, if we just skip over the first Blizzard 3, you basically enter Umbral Ice with a swift cast of Blizzard 3 and then you just transpose straight back to fire and then you just continue. There's another bit of optimization there. Awesome, right, guys? Also, there you go for your bingo cards. Also, hey Matthew and Flims and Evarian, hope you're doing well. Like Mage optimization changes every few levels. Good luck remembering all the tricks. Now, see, the thing is, Evarian, I know all the tricks. The thing is, I just need to be told them. The moment that I'm told them, I'm like, ah, sweet. Like, last week, I was messing around with Black Mage tricks that someone randomly mentioned. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do that from now on. But yeah, funny that. See, the real kicker here is that to Asymmetricon, who added some of this information to me, is that I have a video in the works that actually is so far finished that I have to change things now. Thanks for that. But on the other hand, I would have been wrong in that dedicated video instead, which is worse. Right then. Also, hey Darth, hope you're doing well. Liv says I just tried opening the stream on desktop and accidentally clicked on Shirakami Fubuki's channel instead of yours in my sub list. I may be a bit tired. Tried to hit the Kai stream, but I missed. Hit the Fubuki stream. Hey Nodin, hope you're doing well. I've heard that one many times. See, the thing is, Nodin, around level 35, genuinely, around level 35, I feel Black Mage has enough tools that it works. Like, If I'm playing Black Mage and I land in a duty below level 35, I'm like, ugh. Because there isn't anything you can do. But if you're above level 35, you can do stuff. There's really wacky optimization rotations that I know. Like, that trick that I just explained, that works at level 35. You just don't have Firestarter, but the Blizzard part works. Say Gazel and Stroybex. Hope you we will. And yeah, that is also true, as Gazel says, most of the tricks that come up, you don't need to remember what trick, for the most part, you don't need to remember what tricks are viable and useful when. You just need to remember what tools you need for what tricks, and then you just go, oh, I have that tool. Exactly, Sally. At level 35, spamming Fire 3 and then finishing with 1 Fire 1 is optimal. It's like 1% better than playing normally. Which is mega cursed because it means that you'll see a Black Mage spamming Fire 3 and think they don't know what they're doing. And you may be right. If they don't finish with a Fire 1, and if they do hard cast Blizzard 3 twice, then they don't know what they're doing. But if they go Blizzard 3, Blizzard 1, Fire 3, Fire 3, Fire 3, Fire 1, then they know what they're doing. It's not... The problem is more if you're already acquainted with the game, Nodden. If you're new to the game, it's not as bad, because, like, you get the chance to, like, experience the gradual addition of actions. Anyway... I will queue when it says 55. On a random side note, last week, I was just going over the footage earlier. Last week, I think Ilana was in like all but like 3 duties with me. It almost looked like a duo queue. Strymax, are you asking about the Fire 3 thing? Yeah, the trick of Fire 3 spam being optimal is good until Fire 1 gives Firestarter, which is level 42. At that point, there's no point paying for Fire 3 in that sense, if you could get it for free by casting Fire 1. But yeah, it is genuinely like, from level 1 to 34, your rotation is like... pretty obvious. You don't really have any choices. The only choice you have is when you thunder. The rest is basically, yeah, so you cast the fire spell until you can't, and then you cast the ice spell until you're full, and then you cast the fire spell again. And you maintain thunder. Yeah, exactly, as Ace Metricon says, there's like... it's relevant for Titan, normal, and Song of Temple of Khan and Cutter's Cry, yeah. Or if you land in Stone Vigils level 41, then you have like a little bit of time where it's viable. But once you hit level 35, you just like go, okay, now my rotation has changed to something a little bit more robust. You know, you have a spell for a changing element instead of just kind of have to awkwardly like, oh, I don't have any more Fire 1s. Okay, well, then I just clip my GZD using Transpose and I use Blizzard. And then, like, as you progress from there, all the weirdness of Black Mage starts to get introduced. At level 35, you have the weird Fire 3 thing. Level 40, Thunder Freeze is viable. At level 42, well, now you have Firestarter. But you can do the Swift Cast Blizzard 3 thing I just mentioned. And you can do AF1, F3P and stuff like that. A weird jank like that. You hit level 50, well, you have an AoE spell that is actually good for finishing a burst. Or like a sequence. Like, there's so much that you can do. Oh, there you go. Ilana's here. Fantastic. Unfortunately, I couldn't land the big damage on the boss because there was a dog in the way. I'll queue when it says 13. Sorry, 19. And Ilana counts on Ilana's here, Jingle. But yeah, Stroimex, as Norden says, if you're going to look for statics, that's usually the best way, but you know there's Party Finder as well. This Magicon says these tricks are more relevant right now, where you might get more low-level duties because of paste farming. Yeah, but I mean, I've been using them, like, no kidding. When I'm doing dailies with friends, I am like, if we're doing a type of duty where we can land in like a lower level range, as long as it's likely that it's gonna be above 35, then I'm gonna play Black Mage. Norton says, reminded that JP server uses DF. No, that's not quite how that works, Norton. It's a common misconception and a huge exaggeration. The way JP works is that they do use Duty Finder for re-clears. Specifically. So if you're like, oh, I just want to proc this, no. And it's of course not even everyone. As Ink Bubba says, JP learns in Party Finder. It is a common exaggeration because, oh, I'm guessing we're getting something like Labyrinth of the Ancients, because it's a lot easier and more shorthand.
Let's begin, shall we?
Oops, I should have done that differently. Let's see, what do we do here? You. It's basically Labyrinth, right, guys? Guys? Yeah. I feel like Cerberus has changed.
Such speed, it's as if there's a pack of him. A stylish evasion, well done.
The stylish evasion, well done. Meow. Meep meep. Meow. It's such a mobile Black Mage you're playing, yeah? Yeah, I decided to play Dancer today. Someone asked. We have indeed not played ranged physical in a while.
I do like toying with my prey.
I am, however, distinctly undergeared.
Can you fend off a pack of wolves?
I don't want to. Well. I don't want to fend off a pack of wolves.
Fly true! The earth is mine to command! Not bad, not bad, but we've scarcely begun.
Cleave! Dancer AoE is a Ganon too. Hey. Hey, Light God. Hope you're doing well. Oh! KO!
Bear my biting wings!
Did I press standard step too soon? I did.
Still you stand. How delightful!
Meep meep. Ow. Wolf heads! Bow!
Fenrir's power can be wielded in surprising ways.
Oh, where did that colossal thing come from? He's put the Colossus to the sword.
Yeah, the thing is, Gazel, I wanted to press that, and then I pressed standard step instead. Like, oh. Order. Oops. Whoa.
You're mine! A pack of wolves!
Oh boy.
Try this!
Try this! He hands you like a sandwich. Try this!
Let's see if they can stay standing. Oh no, that was too much for the challenger.
What kind of sandwich though? Well, Fenrir can be used in surprising ways. Well, I definitely made the right choice. This red mage is among the few that has not died at all. I'm gonna get hit. Never mind, I didn't get hit. We take those.
It's all over. Until
Nice.
next time.
Fry this! Let's see. Did I say it's a Rust? Hope you're doing well. Hey Rin, hey Kashanta, hey Sork, hey Gields, hey Zerker. Hope you're all doing well. But yeah, to your question, Barry, the 2-minute burst is essentially most jobs have a lot of jobs either have like a cooldown on a 2-minute, like that is on a 2-minute cooldown, or they have 1-minute cooldowns that align with that naturally. And if they do, a lot of the time they have some sort of buff that lasts up to 20 seconds. Like for instance, Paladin has Fight or Flight, Gunbreaker has No Mercy. As some very simple examples. Some of these 2-minute cooldowns are raid buffs that say everyone does like 5% more damage for 20 seconds. And because of the way math works, when you stack these, it leads to a greater whole. If you have like 4 or 5% buffs, it leads to like like brain math, not great. It leads to closer to 22% more damage rather than 20% more damage. So stacking them already for that is great, but also because a lot of jobs have like multiple cooldowns that are attacks, like, you know, the Blades combo Paladin has, or Lionheart that Gunbreaker has, or Black Mage has Xenoglossy that it can toss out, Pictoman has Star Prism. Like, a lot of jobs have like big damage attacks that they can use every so often. By boosting them specifically, you get even more value because your filler rotation, quote unquote, does a lot less damage. So the game plan is essentially to overlap all these so you can do way more damage. And then it helps even more because jobs have attacks that do more damage that they only get a limited quantity of. But the thing is, in casual content, raid buffs aligning often happen by accident or by coincidence. It's more in harder content that they align more naturally. And that's why we have things like pull timers. Idle Cuban says 53. Say Wallace, hope you're doing well. And hey Mistel, hope you're doing well as well. Hope the blood test went well. And yeah, there's also cases when no one has a rate buff. That's really funny when that happens. $350k pre-fulgence. Nice. Regal Stud says, you just made me realize this, but no tank has a damage rate buff. That's correct. If you're ever try, like, I think I briefly brought this up, like, extremely briefly when I made my single biggest hit in 14 video back in late Endwalker. That if you want to try and produce the biggest damage number, then tanks are basically duds. They don't help you. I'll say, Yannick, hope you're doing well. And yeah, also any tank with a rate buff would probably be pretty strong. I cast this! Oh, I missed one. Someone is attacking, then there's no point holding. That usually just makes things worse. Bird up! Bam, bam, bam. You know, the best part about this whole thing is the NPC telling you, look, it's not working, when you're killing them, when it's like, yeah, I know. I know. We apparently killed them so fast that like that they basically readied up a new wave for us just in time. Fantastic. That can happen, Norton, but you can only do that with, like, a lot of jobs. It's actually better to just send your burst in those cases, rather than wait for the dancer, if it's casual content specifically. Because you don't even know if the dancer's actually, like, gonna get around to that technical step immediately. I will queue when it says 11. And also, as Symmetricon says, a key important detail about the 2-minute burst is that, at least since Endwalker, most jobs have been able to, like, send their 2-minute burst within like 2 to 3 GZDs, so it's not like something you really have to worry about setting up. It comes pretty naturally if you just, you know, do it. A Gassel Snipe. I think our gladiator has possibly is not sure what to do, or is was robbed by the Hall of the Novice. He's trying to pick up mobs with single target. ILQ and it says 45. That's true, Regal's type, suppose. Which still is getting robbed, in a way. But yeah, in the cases where you'd want to hold your burst to align with someone in a casual setting, most of the time, there's not that much you can do in the opener, because you kind of want to send things, get them on cooldown anyway. But some jobs have the capacity to go, oh, I'll just hold what I can hold, and then raid buffs will happen to me eventually. Like, Black Mage is good at this. Viper is good at this. Machinist is not perfect, but it's, you know, okay at it. You know, you can hold the hypercharge. The trick being, for instance, Black Mage, you can just hold, like, when you get blessed with a devilment or something, you could just go, oh, well, now that you mention it, I do actually have 3 polyglots here, and you just send those, and then you don't crit at all, and you're like, bruh. And if you're a Viper, you can just hold a Reawaken. Like, it's not perfect to just fit a Reawaken, not much else, but it's close. Like, there's a limit to how much more you can do than that when you don't know when the buff is coming. So if you like to adjust to raid buff timings around others, then those are good. Dark Knight is also, like, interesting, because while you have a lot of cooldowns you kind of have to send as they come up, you don't have to spend all your MP in those moments. You can just go, oh, I have a raid buff, blah, blah. You can also just hold one Shadowbringer charge. Just send that when you have a raid buff and things like that. It's not perfect, but it's something. And when I say that it's usually better to just send it, is exactly because whenever I've tried to adjust to some rando, quote unquote, I often end up waiting so long that it wasn't worth it. Also, hey Bromtom, hope you're doing well. Do you mean membership, Tremere? By the way, Solemn Trinity, what? No, you let it rip when you have it, like God. I think there should be a button, like a membership button somewhere. But I don't actually know how it looks exactly. Nisu has said there's a big join button next to channel name. Is it still like that when you have a membership already? That says Machine's Drill has 16-second cooldown. Drill has 20-second cooldown. But it has 2 charges, so you could hold one. Once upon a time, like God, this was sometimes a thing. Back before Endwalker, jobs had a lot more weird alignment of buffs, which meant that sometimes there could be specific instances where it was worth holding. Nowadays, not really. Thank you, Ardell. Oh. The 2-minute alignment thing for every job is recent? Nah, it came with Endwalker, Regal Star. So, I mean... a few years? Shadowbringers also helped it a bit already, but the big 2-minute burst meta thing was Endwalker, where they... Basically, before Endwalker, just to list you a few, Summoner's raid buff had a 3-minute cooldown. Monk's raid buff had a 90-second cooldown. Ninja's raid buff, Mog, was on trick attack and had a 1-minute cooldown. Also, there's also other things like Warrior's Inner Release was a 90-second cooldown. Hey. Wasn't Battle Litany at 90? I think that one was at 2 minutes. Was Ajax this? And Kraken Mo. Oh, and Taldemar. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, back in the day, it was a lot more complicated. Litany was 3 minutes. Well, there you go. 2 or 3. If it may be that it is somewhere in the C benefits menu. I will queue when it says 17. It's possible that it is under the C benefits menu, then up in the top right, I believe there's like a 3 dots menu. That one might get you something more. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Well, is this going to be the rematch with the Machinist Guildhest set from early Dawntrail? Are we finally gonna hit it? Are we going to make a new record here? But with Dancer that is even better at spamming Guildhests? I will queue when it says 5. Bop, 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 bop. Hey, Mandalore. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, rate buff alignment used to be a lot more complicated, you could say. There's also, like, Krakenmo mentioned it. Back in the day, some jobs just didn't have a way to, like, build gauge to, like, do anything with the opener burst. So you'd kind of just be like, well, I mean, I can send what I have. Yeah, the game in general did used to be more complicated for various reasons, but I would say not everything was complicated in a good way back then either. Hey Wolfkin, hope you're doing well. This was common to just build something at the start and keep it for when someone yells, I'm buffing! I came into the game at like basically Stormblood launch, Norton. Hey Fern, hope you're doing well. I'm guessing you landed in Labyrinth of the Ancients this time, Ilana. I came into the Stormblood launch, which I know for a fact because I got into the game, chose Arcanist, and then at some point, suddenly I had a new button called Sustain, which was like a button you used to heal your pet, which they removed with the Stormblood launch, and then like one major patch in, they were like, I think they need it because Physic doesn't do anything. So I know I got into the game in 4.0 somewhere because I was there to suddenly receive a change in 4.1. Yeah, that's actually pretty spot on, Regal Star, because on the one hand, back in the day, what you do, you know, you might actually hold cooldowns to like align better with each other. But what actually happened when it came to optimization was the jobs that naturally aligned better would just be the meta picks. And if it wasn't that, then before Shadowbringers, jobs had physical resistance down debuffs, which often meant that physical comps were a thing. As in, no mages, you just had the healers. And there was also something of that, because party bonus worked differently. So it didn't really matter that you didn't have any caster. There's also the case that Brotherhood, just an example, only buffed physical damage. Embolden, Red Mage's buff, also buffed only physical damage for the rest of the party. Like a lot of dankness back then. Also, hey Dyson, hope you're doing well. And hey Tongue, hope you're doing well as well. Yeah, the funny thing is, with the resistance down debuffs, Monk was the one that delivered the blunt debuff. The thing is, the only jobs that could use it were Monk and, like, White Mage, Black Mage, Scholar, and so like, jobs that didn't really mind whether their auto attacks did marginally more damage. The piercing debuff was only provided by Dragoon, but Bard and Machinist was dependent on it to do good damage. Meanwhile, in the slashing department, I believe Warrior, Ninja, and Samurai by Stormblood could all apply the slashing debuff. And then, you know, Dark Knight and Paladin also relied on it, but couldn't apply it themselves. Hey, Violet Songbird, hope you're doing well. And that's true, Naomi. That was the funniest bit is that if I recall correctly, the way Embolden used to be written was that it increased the Red Mage's damage output by 10% and other, like, Red Mage's magic damage output by 10% and everyone else's physical damage output by 10%. And then it said that every 4 seconds, over 20 seconds, it would be reduced by 20%. Obviously, what they mean is that it would go from 10 to 8 to 6 to 4 to 2%. But it reads really funny when they're like, it's reduced by 20% each. Also, Reapers Limbo, hope you're doing well. I was wondering if it mostly just side content, if there is anything of use to progress through the MSQ. There is a quest in the Stormblood MSQ, I believe, where you're sent to Gold Saucer. In the MSQ. That's the only MSQ thing there. Everything else in the Gold Saucer is mostly just MGP. If you make sure to unlock Triple Triad, that can be handy, because then you can loot random Triple Triad cards when you do content. You can either choose to unlock them, or you can trade them in at the Gold Saucer for MGP, and the MGP can be used to unlock emotes, glam, mounts, music, all sorts of stuff. But it is side content, like quite distinctly, it is side content, it is optional. But yeah, basically, before Endwalker normalized raid buff burst windows, the meta was just, mix and match jobs that had better natural alignments. So in a way, part of the justification for normalizing the burst window as such was to make raid teams more flexible. Now people just choose, the optimal comp in a different way. Like, basically, every single time that some change to the game has made jobs more flexible and, like, less reliant on, oh, you have to do it in this specific way, players have gone, no, actually, we can optimize this. Like, I think the funniest example of this recently is probably Gunbreaker's Gnashing Fang. Like, oh, well, it is a little bit awkward when you can't use Gnashing Fang exactly on time, so we give you 2 charges so you're, like, more flexible. Except if you're not level 100, you want to use 2 Gnashing Fang combos in full inside your burst now. So now it's just a 1-minute cooldown instead of a 30-second cooldown, effectively. You hit level 100, and then you're like, okay, so now I have, like, a flexible charge I can use whenever. Technically, yes, but if you use it in this exact way, there's a damage gain. So it's still part of your burst. It just never fails. And another funny one is definitely also how it, like, I'm not sure. I've said this before that Black Mage, if they actually didn't want players to do all the shenanigans that they do, then Transpose would have been deleted ages ago. Like, years ago. It wouldn't have lived this long if the problem was that people were getting fancy with the Black Mage rotation. But it is really funny that whenever it feels like they're like, okay, you don't, it doesn't have to be so complicated. Here, you just get this one, and now that shenanigan you don't have to do anymore. Then players just go, oh, well, that makes this other piece of shenanigans even easier to do. So we're just gonna do that. And now we can also do this other thing. Like some sort of whack-a-mole. Although I will say that the reworks of how Umbral Ice works, what was it? Like hundreds of pages of strats and sequences for non-standard, just gone. As you see, the reason why I'm saying that that Transpose wouldn't have survived this long as Metricon is that while it would take a little bit of change, if they didn't want players doing the shenanigans they do with Black Mage, step one would be, okay, remove Transpose. Okay, now how do we get the job to work without Transpose? A starting point is they could just make it so that Umbral Soul, for instance, has some sort of functionality to force you over to ice and reset with a cast time or something. That is a way to do it. Then you're not stuck in fire because you don't have an attack target. And yeah, the key problem would be how do you switch state without Transpose before level 35? Considering that the only way to exit Umbral Ice and Astral Fire, once you're in one of them, is to cast Fire 1 or Blizzard 1 when you are on the opposite element, or Fire 2 and Blizzard 2 before level 35. It would be pretty simple for them to just go, no, actually, Black Mages can't be in not a state. When you switch to the job, you just are in Umbral Ice. And when you cast Fire, you cast Fire 1, you just switch to Astral Fire 1. And when you cast Blizzard 1, you just switch to Umbral Ice 1, and you just go from there. We could try that, Telemar. I'll hop over to Light. Let's put it to the test. Will it make a difference? Since now we've sat in the queue for 10 minutes. Let's do Alpha. Is the party found in your server dead now? I don't know. As I've said before, I don't feel like there is that much of a difference, but right now we sat in queue for 10 minutes. On Chaos. Jose Nox, hope you're doing well. Ah, yes. As you can see, untouched since last we played. Hey, Connie. Hope you're doing well. Good luck, Saf. Hey, Nim. Hope you're doing well. Nim says, I want 2 flare stars in my opener. You can have that. Have you heard of the 5/7? I will go to Summerford Farms, by the way. Randoms, are you doing some sort of YouTube group thing with other YouTubers? Yes, well, yes. I'm on Friday. The Gold Saucer thing. The 5+7 NEM is just to demonstrate. The 5/7. If we just focus on the fire and ice thing, you just it's fire 3, fire 4 until you can't. And then, for instance, you have an instant cast. You would have Xenoglossy from Amplifier. Here you use Thunder. And you just Mana Font and then fire 4. Oops, there's one Flare Star. And then you just back to fire 4. You may notice that there's a paradox that is getting very, very egregiously ignored here. Don't care. Don't need it. What we do need is fire 4, though. And Flare Star. And then you just finish with Despair, and then, you know, transpose Swift, cast Blizzard 3, and you're like, here you go. There you are. So you can do that. I don't know if I can say, Agent Monica, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, I will queue when it says 39. "30 minutes? Is this an extreme?" It's probably an extreme. Silva, hope you're doing well. We're working on clearing the server bros, Dyson. Brontom, are they also teasing something for Friday? Dyson, we're working on the clear. The real awkward part as a dancer here is that you don't really want to use standard step ever. Except maybe do something like this. Probably fine to let my damage buff run out as well. Ow. Ow. One of the tanks is gonna die, I think. Also, we should be clearing now, I think. Ugh. I like how they just concluded somehow that, oh yeah, well, I mean, one person has to tank the king, right? And the other tank is just left to run for their life to maybe survive. Good luck with that. As long as nothing just suddenly breaks, we have this. We just need to continue. We just need to hold fast. I think I'm dead. Maybe. We're dead. We don't get something done quick. Someone in the party said, oh, so that's who kept killing them early. So I'm guessing that the rando that left was the problem. Don't you love it when that happens? Jose Shackman and Red Master, hope you're doing well. And Brian, hope you're doing well as well. Yeah, the thing that seemed to also cause problems for them is that it seems like they decided that the Galaxy Brain solution was that they had one tank take the king and then the other tank take both ads. The way that it's supposed to be done, just quick for the record, is one tank takes the king and one of the tank ads, and then the other tank takes the other ad. And then what you do is that you rotate who has the king. Because if one tank has both ads, then they get the, like, basically A applies, B does more damage, and B applies, A does more damage. So if you have both, then oh boy. Regal Star, the reason is that, I think this is explained in the 2-minute guide. When you kill one of the Mog's Guard, the king stops and heals the whole Mog's Guard to full, spending his own HP. That's the reason why he went from like 90, 88% to 47, like that, and then he went to 7, like that, is because we did that much damage, so he had to heal all that. And the third time that you kill one of them like that, instead of healing them, he just goes, screw it, and starts a Hardened Rage cast instead. And you can't hurt him until all of the Mog's Guard is dead. I don't actually know if it's possible to hurt him even... Like, I don't think it's possible to hurt him even if you kill all the Mog's Guard before that. Like, if you make the perfect setup and kill all of them before you can heal them, he will still rest them and heal them up. But you can't hurt him until you've done it 3 times. Jose Dunson, hope you're doing well. Right, I will be right back, and then we'll continue. In the meantime, energy restored. Alright, I'm back. I will also add, while we're on the topic of the of Thornmarsh, is that I do believe if you kill all of the Moxguard, like fully, so that the king has to fully heal them from 0, I believe it does 42% of his HP. So the fact that we got 41 and 40% of his HP in this one, I mean, we did pretty well. And I may have, now that you do mention it, Regalstein, I may have forgotten to mention the why. I'm pretty sure I included it in text or something at the very least. Odin in one pull? Yeah. The thing with Odin is that if you know your fundamentals, he's not that bad. The problem is really if you get too many dead players and you can't actually make the DPS check. Jose Sip, hope you're doing well. Still waiting for my Watcher plushie. You know, the funny thing, as I've mentioned before, is the Watcher is a is quote unquote a generic plushie become special. So I don't even know if I would have the capacity to produce an appropriate Watcher. Anyway, I will queue when it says 03. And hey, 12 o'clock. Hope you're doing well. And same to you, Answer. Should I make a new character or keep playing? I'm completely lost right now. You could do both. If you could make a new character. You could also play on the one you already have. You could, for instance, pick up a new job starting at level 1 so you can like get acquainted with the mechanics again. You could also just do old duties, like lower level duties, so that you can get acquainted with your toolkit gradually. You could also make a whole new character. I think it mostly comes down to how attached do you feel to your old character. You could also do New Game Plus if you want to get caught up on the story, yeah. Is it possible for the king to die from his own heal ability? Yes. Technically. I believe he will stop being vulnerable to attack after he passes around 90%, but you have a second or two before he does, which is why he hit like 88% before he became invulnerable in my case here. But if you hit him down to 83%, and then he heals the Moxguard, fully twice, then he would die. That is also, I have mentioned in my A Realm Reborn relic guide, that if you're having trouble one-shotting Ifrit while wearing an A Realm Reborn relic weapon, and things like that, Mog is a decent alternative. He's a little slower, but you just have to hit him down to like 41%. In one hit, granted, but that you do that, and then you kill the Moxguard, he heals them, and then he dies. And that's fair, Eagles. I guess I just sort of assumed. That it was clear that if he uses his HP to heal, then he heals by spending his HP proportionally. Jose Shaq, hope you're doing well. Yeah, after sitting in queue for 10 minutes, Taldemar suggested hopping over to Light. So I did, landed in Thornmarsh Extreme. I will sit here for 10... If I get a queue of up to 10 minutes, then I will determine that it makes no difference and possibly hop back. Hey, Zainoon, hope you're doing well. Something like that, Darth. Or strike about the cutscenes. What is happening, Ilana? Are they just sitting there? Not clearing the duty? Hey Evis, hope you're doing well. Sort of, we're testing. I'm testing. We sat in queue for 10 minutes on Chaos. Then we switched to Light, were a 30-minute replacement, and you see the problem? I was promised faster queues. What's this? Hey Nathan, hope you're doing well, and thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. Someone pulled the last boss instant, and so they are protesting. That is griefing, yes. That is griefing. Like, I mean, I can understand if, like, is it the same? Like, I'm wondering if it's the same pull as the one that was pulled during the cutscene or what's going on, but, still weird. So I don't know if I missed you, but I hope you're doing well, Necrofits. Oh, Tong, there's also an OCE link shell. I think I've also heard tell that there are NA link shells. Wouldn't be grieving if the player who'd pulled, die, and reset. Well, Gazel, it's complicated. Also, 20-minute replacement would. Oh my. What? Do we need to talk tactics? What? 20-minute replacement. Indeed, the hardest normal raid in Final Fantasy XIV strikes again. Oh man. Uh-oh. Ow. Hey, Boomerman. Hope you're doing well. Hey Vespi, hope you're doing it as well. Apparently the problem was that the Faust landed in the lava too fast. Was the explanation I was given. And I think I'm also not the only replacement, given that I saw someone else running back. Oh boy. So it's possible that there were less mentors before. I will say there was no reason to greed the placement of that Faust. If it was me and I saw that it was that close, I would have moved to the 4th platform, I think. Yeah, I usually do the same, Necrophyts. I may take it to the 3rd. If I feel confident in the group. Apparently, it sounds like they had damage output problems. I was a 20-minute replacement. I was like, Harry, hope you're doing well. No mitigation run. I will queue when it says 03. But if what they said in the party chat is to be believed, it sounds like there was genuinely problems getting the Faust dead. Like in general. So it may have been the case that they were moving the Faust to the 4th platform, but it didn't die in time. Which would equally be a wipe. Because that is a DPS check. And the way that it works, Mandalore, is if the Faust lands in the lava while it's alive, instant party wipe. Just dead. If you don't kill the Faust in time and the boss stockpiles it, the boss becomes fully reconstructed, instant party wipe. If you instead kill the Faust, but it doesn't land in the lava because you ran out of lava opportunities, then stockpile still works and you wipe. So the only solution is Faust lands in the lava while dead. I don't know, Ilana. I usually just use the keybinds to switch to link shells. And I says, what is this data center? Yeah, so I'm gonna say, what's going on here? We're on chaos, everything is normal. Then we go over to light. And we're replacing for the weirdest duties. Is it unfeasible to get the boss kill before the Faust spawns? No, it's absolutely possible. In fact, I have killed Refurbisher Zero while Faust was on the field. Because I believe the mitigation is like 99%. Either 90 or 99%. And if the boss is low enough, you know, you can just kill. Hey Faust, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Wow. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, that is actually, I also set this in my hardest normal raids top 10, that Refurbisher Zero is number 1. Yeah, that's true, Faust. You're doing better than the other Faust. Thank you so much. I said in the video that it is nearly possible to just skip the Faust altogether. And if it becomes regularly possible to skip it by like some average group due to power creep, then Refurbisher Zero is not hard anymore. So thank you, Harry, for the gifted sub. Thank you so much. A gifted membership. Thank you. That's awesome. And we're back in Guildhests. Hey. Any Bugman today? No, but we have gotten mostly Guildhests. This fight is silly. How long till you get a 10-minute replacement in Guildhests? That would be hilarious. Could you imagine? How? Describe it to me. How would that happen? Also level 31 Conjurer. Oh boy. How would a 10-minute replacement Guildhest happen? I'm not asking how you would set it up. I'm asking, how do you think it would happen? What Guildhest? Oh, Q when it says 47. The turtle failed multiple times. Oh, the problem there, Ilana, is I'm actually pretty sure if you kill the turtle, then it says duty failed and kicks you out. Pretty sure. I'll say Kefka. Hope you're doing well. That is actually, by the way, important detail in my tally that you may have seen in my Men's Roulette series. The 8 failed duties are all extremes. And they are all, like, I think 7 of them? 6 or 7 of them. And I didn't say, I did say or, by the way. I think it's 6 of them are cases where we queue in, either people leave immediately to the point where it's not recoverable, or people left after very few tries. And the remaining ones, I'm pretty sure, were Sephiroth and Sorvan. Pretty sure. Actually, that's wrong. There was also there was a King Mog. Can't remember which ones people left too soon, but I think it's only like a few of them. But it was never a Guildhest that failed. Speaking of Guildhest, Kefka, does that mean that you have seen what happens if a ward up goes longer? I've heard a mythical story that the 5 things summon a bigger Void Sent to fight you if you don't kill them fast enough. I've heard stories. I've heard the legends. I've never seen it spawn. I will queue when it says 44. Yeah, exactly, Tommy. I'm pretty sure that additional void spawn comes significantly later. That I'm like, I have never seen it. Then says in one data center, I wouldn't be too surprised at like even a level 35 or 40 class, not job, but more because of the implications of the data center itself. Wait, what? We need a Mythbuster on this. What actually happens? You know, not related to the Mythbuster thing, but somewhat related to duties where there's like mechanics that are like, oh, I've heard stories that this happens. Is a lot of the time, I feel like around the time where like a normal raid fight or even a newer alliance raid fight starts like unraveling and people start dying, is around the time. Can someone invite Tongue to the light cross-welding shell? I want you to understand, Tongue, that I am not able to invite to the link shells for good reason. So you can't ask me. You have to ask Yassel. In fact, Tong, I was invited to it just now. Have you ever seen Titan Enrage on the hard phase? I think I have on extreme. Gazel, a hard-boiled spot asked if they could be in the link shell. But what I was getting at is that a lot of the time, like normal raids and alliance raids, like the later parts where the duty, like where you finish the fight, are at a point where like that's where the combination of mechanics starts to be problematic. A particular one I remember from Brute Bomber is that he would, be doing a combo of lariats and bombs on the field that would kill like many players. But he dies sooner now, so that doesn't come up anymore because of, gear creep. I think that is really interesting because like that's essentially how mechanics like disappear like that. Which is also to say, one day, the day where Refurbisher Zero can skip the Faust phase with a regular, like average party, that's when people will start, talking in the stories of the Faust on Refurbisher Zero. Tied to item level caps. Dyson, we need item level caps. Like, funny story is that I believe that Endsinger uniquely has an item level sync as a max level trial. Thunder God Sid turn their floor to ice anymore. I have seen it a couple times, but yeah, I know what you mean. Exactly, Saloon. Basically, without the item level sync, it was very easy to skip everything on Endsinger. But it is funny that they haven't done that with, like, other trials. Necrophid says, my most commonly failed duties is Leviathan Extreme. 3 separate sessions, vote abandoned. It either right when I joined or after only a couple of pulls. Interesting. Was I stuck? Hope you're doing well. You can indeed see the item level sync in the duty finder. Dun 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 dun. Oh! Huh. I believe in this Black Mage. You can do it, Black Mage. And Ilana's here. Fantastic. Nom. Munch. If I recall correctly, the 2-minute burst gets scuffed here because the boss leaves, like, in the middle of it. Yep, there it is. I should not have done this. Boss flies away while DuckTales play. The ones that are not quote-unquote max level are typically item level synced, exactly because they're not max level. As Stark did mention. Whoops. You skip Devour, easy. Speaking of mechanics that go on to live in legend. I will queue when it says 21. Also, yeah, that was a strong group. Oh my. And Shaq's here. Fantastic. Is the tank here though? Eh? Eh? Tank was mid Pepsi. you know that could be. It's just tell them up. Enjoy your evening. Hey Tortuga, hope you're doing well. More. Oh, what is Mentor Queue? It's basically a filler queue to help. You could argue that you actually get less rewards as a mentor because you don't get the daily rewards that the other players in the queue may. But yeah, there's a mount at the end of the tunnel. Alright, Sotoka, welcome to the game. Oh, whoops. I actually never thought about the fact that the line stack also, whoops, removes the rocks. The Selkos, hope you're doing well. Oh, that's a classic. That is a classic. I've actually learned... I'm gonna hold my burst here. That there is too close to dead for me to bother. I've actually learned that a significant amount of players send the line stack at the other parties, not out of malice. They don't even realize that the line stack, you know, can reach that far. Like, I have had encounters where people are like, oh, that's why the other parties die. Like, they didn't even realize that it could be. And yeah, I do know that there's also some that go, ah, I'm just gonna lie and say that that's the reason. I know that. But yeah, genuinely, there are some cases, like, it actually does make sense that someone would be like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Like, they might not even be looking at where the other parties went. Noodle horse. It gallops here and there and everywhere. galloping boy that's without compare. That is the noodle horse. That'll the noodle horse. Blap. Blap. Whoa. Didn't I do it for you? Hey, loot. Yoink. Yoink. Oh, hey, loot. Yoink. Hmm. The free rin allegations, yeah. Hey, Stainless. Hope you're doing well. No, serious. Mr. T played a Night Elf Mohawk, which is, you know, not a class, but he was a Night Elf Mohawk. I'm Mr. T and I'm a Night Elf Mohawk! And he was a Night Elf with his actual hairstyle. Yeah, I have heard of this, Stainless. I should probably do that. Whoop. You do the squawks. He do be squawking. Oops. It is for the most part it is possible to get melee range, because you just need to find the spot. I will queue when it says 05. Hey, hoppers on! Hope you're doing well. Just as in my defense, it's been a bit since that commercial aired. Yeah. Hey Ram, hope you're doing well. Well, I will say, Stainless, that slides like that are just a thing sometimes. I actually remember that the Ether font with its dank zipline was extremely... It was a very controversial thing for black mages. Many hated it because one of the ziplines took 14 seconds. Which you can probably see why that would be a problem, with the Astral Fire and Umbral Ice lasting 15 seconds. Other players thought it was fun, that you could outsmart it by just clicking it just right. The Dragon Rider. Do you mean Pagalthan? Oh my! Another extreme. Agent Monica's here. Mickey's a Nokian smasher. You're nice, Ram. I hope you're enjoying it. You still got a demon. You never, ever had to do extremes for the MSQ. There's no still. Paul says, but if you umbral, you never drop ice. That was added in Dawntrail. That was added in Dawntrail. That's an interesting position. But yeah, that is true. If you just mashed Umbral Soul, even in Endwalker, you could, you know, hold it through most things. Hard to say, Stark. I specifically do mental roulette at these times because I suspect that they are more likely to happen in the evening where people are home. So I'm basically like optimizing my odds. I'm impressed the rocks haven't dropped yet. Oh, never mind. Here's a funny random reminder that a recent run of Garuda Extreme we had, we bursted Shirada so fast that she was basically dead before she got to benefit from her damage reduction. She straight up just got destroyed. So if everyone is bringing it, you can do that. Sometimes. I have a sneaking suspicion that we may have trouble. I don't know if the tanks will know or consider being if Garuda leaves, and I don't think she will survive. That she will die before. Patch notes removed Tirada from Howling Eye Extreme. She's in the hospital. I will queue when it says 15. Indeed, Paul, that was Altadal's legacy. Considering the mix of duties we've gotten tonight, it is wild that we've had no wipes. Land as a 30-minute replacement in Thornmarch Extreme, beat it first try. Land as a 20-minute replacement on Refurbisher Zero, beat it first try. Garuda Extreme, first try. Thank you, Aerodel. I wish I could get this many extreme trials. You know, the cost is the amount of Guildhests we've gotten tonight. Imagine if Mentor could snipe you into frontline. Indeed. Yeah, I don't know, Stark. Part of the reason why, like, from my perspective, as long as people are trying, then extremes are like, I'd say almost the best content to land in for Mentor Roulette. Half because it's more interesting for me, but other half because it makes for a more interesting video. Like, the worst part about getting a whole bunch of Guildhests is that, like, there's nothing to say. All I can do is sometimes be like, oh yeah, there's this weird optimization you can do on this boss. Or on this fight. I need you to wipe for content. The biggest problem for me, actually, is that specifically Ramu Extreme, I've gotten so many times that at this point, it just, there's nothing. It's just, yeah, the thing, you know, the tether. Remember the, I thought it was 28 Guildhests, but yes, I do. Can we kill the turtle for content? I feel like it would be particularly interesting to see if I could hit the 2000 without failing that duty. But hey, I wouldn't be surprised if someone would kill it just to mess with me at that point. Ooh, sweet.
Are you ready to get down?
The Upstart's Cruiserweight campaign begins.
Unfortunately, we have the double dancer comp. With dancing green.
Can you keep up with the rhythm? We're just getting started. Keep grooving, baby.
Dancing Green is pulling out all the stops with each step.
That is technically a way to deal with a tank buster. Everyone else just dodges.
On the dance floor, everyone's a star. Bask in the spotlight and burn, baby, burn!
An invitation to dance. How will the challenger respond?
Hey, indie gamer, hope you're doing well.
Come on, show me your moves!
Amazing! They clearly anticipated that attack.
You're up, dancers! Let's turn up the heat! Try to keep up now!
The fever's taken hold. Can the Upstart keep up with Dancing Green?
Thank you for the sub, Neko Meow. Hope you're doing well.
Dance like there's no tomorrow! Let's finish with style!
Pose!
You're burning up the dance floor!
Hey, we got the limit break boost. Hey!
Back to it, dancers! Show us some electrifying moves! bask in the spotlight and burn, baby, burn!
It's all over. Until next time.
Yeah, thank you, Neko Meow. I missed the go. Very sorry. Mythbusters challenge on XP. I don't know if that's exactly myth busting, but it is something. It is an interesting question. However, I'm like 99% certain that that my character that my small Kai character, that journey was almost exclusively MSQ. Like maybe a hunting log a little bit here and there, and of course the job quests. So, and that one I think small Kai had the road to 90 or road to 80 at the time, I suppose. So you could check where, what level Small Kai's Lancer is when we clear self-management. As a point of reference, if you don't want to go through the rigorous method yourself. I'm glad to have you, Nico Meow. Thank you so much. And enjoy work, Harry. I will be right back, and then we will continue. In the meantime, manatee restored. Alright, I'm back. Vanity Ultimate. I also wanted to add something that I was thinking about in regards to the mental roulette thing and extremes that Stark mentioned. I don't know how it looks on NA, of course. I don't know how it looks on OZE either. But I can at least say on EU, just my experience, out of my, like, over 100 extremes in mental roulette, most of which have been successful, by the way. I think, like, less than 5% of all of the extremes I've landed in mental roulette has had someone bring up the point that, hey, you shouldn't actually be queuing for extremes like this. It would be smarter to make a party finder or something. So, and I don't know if that's more common on NA to just be like, hey, you shouldn't do that. And if it was more common, it would, you know, that would spread faster. There's also the part that I think that EU is more likely to have mix-ups where there's players that, you know, they just don't speak English. Which means that the ones that might carry this message will just not be understood. So, like, nothing happens. Nothing comes of it. It's just a thought. Maybe there's something there. That the reason is that players are more likely to be told no on the extreme trials, so they don't. KH fans, as my experience has been, NA will be more likely to whine at you for not using Party Finder. Well, that's what I mean, is that that's my best guess, that I know evidence on my end that it is exceptionally rare that people say anything about it. In the extremes we've had tonight, in the extremes we've had for several weeks, the last time that I had someone raise a flag about it, it was, I believe it was a machinist who already seemed a bit grumpy in the brute justice that we were in just before that, or something to that effect. And then we landed on Nidhogg Extreme with players that were clearly not prepared for that. That's a lot of points, Elana. Wow. Also, hey, K, hope you're doing well. The same to you, KH fan. Naomi says, I landed in a free extreme yesterday to someone immediately saying they hate it when people queue for extremes. Well, there you go. But yeah, that's exactly what I mean, is that that's my experience versus someone else's experience. Anyway, I will queue when it says 12. But that's also why I'm saying I can only speak from my observation, and my observation is not a lot of data points, right? Low to the K-Cat. But of course, there's also the part that on my end, the only time where I'm, like, annoyed, quote-unquote, that I land in an extreme is when a significant amount of players, to the degree that it is not really possible anymore, of the party is so underprepared that it's like, yeah, if you had done your homework before you queued, we would have done this, but because you didn't, we're not doing it. And the problem there, of course, is that to some degree, they can't know that there was homework. If, like, for instance, if it's their first extreme, how could they know that this is actually really hard? How could they know? We have a tank without a tank stance. Maybe we can kill the boss before it becomes a problem. Before it becomes a problem, I'm gonna run away. And then hit it. There you go. Bye. Right, I will queue when it says 56. Exactly, Wallace. That's precisely what I mean. People should know that it's hard, that it's actually difficult because of the name. Yeah, well, I mean... Neko Meow says, do you accept friend requests from viewers or do you prefer to only add people you know? I generally accept friend requests, yeah. Sometimes I just can't, because I have so many friends that I have had to clean out in my friend list a few times. But I do click yes. Assuming that they have made it clear that the reason that they're adding me. Because sometimes I just get an unexplained friend request out of nowhere. I decline those. You know, just let me know that you know me. Just, you know.
You cannot escape my eternal gaze.
Oh boy.
From nothing, I mold light.
But yeah, exactly that. Like, my first run-in with extremes was, well, I had this quest in my quest log to do this duty called Minstrel's Ballad, Ultima's Bane.
Escape my eternal gaze.
Took a few pulls to determine that, oh, this is actually pretty hard. In Stormblood, it's a little harder. And then people started leaving. I was trying. I left when it was no longer, like, there was not enough people. But I tried. And that's also why I say, like, if it's your first extreme, then how in the world are you supposed to know that, oh, this is actually hard and you should do your homework? The problem is when it starts to become like your second or third or fourth. And arguably, the bigger problem, I would actually say, tends to be that the players that queue for extremes are pretty often more likely to be like, the reason they queue for extremes is because they, like, it's not just that they don't know this, it's that they don't really know a lot of things. So they also don't know how their job works. To put it to a little bit of an extreme. Like, I'm just saying, I have beaten Sephiroth extreme with cure bots, essentially. I've done that. How does that happen? Yeah, and see, the good news there, Zylun, is that you do your homework and then you go, oh, that wasn't needed at all. Now you at least know that, in retrospect. And then that could, of course, lead to you going, well, Alliance raids were not hard, so who's to say whether an extreme is hard? Indeed, Redmaster. The first time players do, like the first time they do an extreme is when they realize how much they don't know. But that's also the reason why whenever people have asked, like on these streams for instance, I pretty consistently say something to the effect of, I don't say you can't queue. I say something to the effect of, do your homework. Like, watch a guide on the fight to make sure you're prepared. Watch a guide on your job to make sure that you know what you're doing. You might know exactly what you're doing, but you're going into content where it actually matters that you definitely know what you're doing. Like that's all I ask is, you know, just double check that you know your rotation, right? Double check that you have a general idea of how the fight is gonna go. Because if you don't do that, then you're basically like if you've ever done like a group project in school and there's someone in your group that doesn't do their part, yeah. That's how that feels. But again, if you don't know that it is that it would actually be impactful and helpful and necessary almost, then how could you possibly know that you'd need to do that? All of those dungeons and hard trials you've done before this didn't require it, so why is it suddenly necessary now? Right?
Today, my theory shall be proven as fact.
Today, my theory shall be proven as redacted. You don't pay my tuition. Say, cat. Hope you're doing well.
These chains are forged from the fabric of creation.
These chains. Now those chains are forged from, like, I don't know, bronze or something. But these chains. To silent vessels, she give a voice.
Shine brilliant for me.
Indie Gamer says, I've always been the player for who guides don't do much for. I watch them, but the information doesn't stick until I've had time to practice the fight. That's actually the whole point, Indie Gamer. Here's a funny thing, is that sometimes I get comments on my job guides from people that say, well, I watched this whole guide and I don't understand a thing. The reason why is sometimes what you need is to you know, exercise the information. That is the reason why in school you get homework. That's the point of homework. It's not to waste your time or something. It's specifically so that you exercise that information that you have been taught just now. Watching a boss guide means that you, like, there's some information. You have a chance of recognizing some of it, and then when the mechanic comes up, it might pop in and be like, oh, I do remember this, and then you'll do it better than if you had never seen it. And then you watch the guide again after you've had some practice, and suddenly you're like, oh, that's what they meant. But that's the point. But if you don't watch the guide at all, because you're like, well, I'm not gonna get anything out of it anyway, then watch the guide more. Like, basically that. And for some people, it just takes more. Like, for some, they can just watch a guide once and go, okay, got it, and actually retain it. For others, they need a little bit more. I'm not saying that you're not watching guides because of that. I'm specifically saying there are people that say, well, I don't get very much out of guides, so I just don't. Which, on the one hand, means I just need the practice from the fight itself. Okay, but do you think... And I'm not talking to you specifically, indie game. I'm like talking to the general perspective here. Do you think it's fair to show up not having done your part to a homework project when the 7 other people have? Just because it's harder for you? You know? Like, imagine if you have, like, I don't know, a math project. And you're like, well, I'm not very good at math, so I just didn't do anything. And then your 2 teammates, who are also not that good at math, they went, well, I'm not good at math, but this needs to be done, so done it we will. And then they worked, sweat, blood and tears to get it done. And then you show up and are like, well, I didn't do anything. It's too hard, so I just didn't. Like, bruh. See, as an honest, the problem there is that if you find a group where you're all on the same skill level and on the same page, you have done equally much homework, then it's fair. The problem is that Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO, and we don't do it like that here. What you're looking for are blind prog groups. However, blind prog groups end up almost with more homework because they have to figure it out all on their own. Like, the funny thing is that people go, I shouldn't need to watch a guide to learn stuff. Meanwhile, most modern games will throw text or a little video at you to tutorialize how to play the game. And there it's fine. That's just how games are. It's like sitting down to play chess and going, I shouldn't need to learn to play a game. I should just be able to learn it by playing. Okay, well then you figure out what the pawn does yourself. You figure it out. You're white. Turn 1, go. That's how you learn things. That is the great advantage of being a human being. We can learn very well. And if you choose not to, because it's a game, you learn how to play games. And an extreme is a complicated minigame in the grander game. Too bad that you have to learn that one too. And it basically comes down to unless stated otherwise, you can kind of assume that the people around you have done their homework for these kinds of difficult fights. At the very least, because it has become like the agreed upon approach to these things. Like, that's just how we've decided that it's done. And then your choice is to either show up underprepared or prepared. Also, hello to everyone that came in the middle of that whole tirade. I hope you're doing well. Also, use an honest. But yeah, basically, there are groups for the people that say, I don't want to do homework to play a game. I don't want to have to watch a guide. But these groups are blind prog groups, which means that you're basically rounding up a full party of people that haven't done their homework on the fight. And then chose, we will figure it out as we go. And there, you're all on the same page. There, it will also be harder because, well, you can't look to someone else to get the answer. No one knows what the answer is. They can't explain it to you because they don't know either. That's why they're here. It's like MMOs have solved this one in a way. I say, okay, Kya, hope you're doing well. And same to you, False Geek. Anyway, I will queue when it says 30. Heaven on High says, when a party finder says Hector Guide, then people expect that everyone has read it or has watched it and not just say yes and fail every mechanic. Yeah, indeed, when you join a party that says a specific strategy, the assumption is that you know that strategy. Sarah says it's more I want to figure it out by myself rather than others telling me. But yeah, make a blind group in Partyfinder if you want to do that. Yeah, exactly. The key thing here is that if you say I want to figure it out by myself rather than others telling me, if you join a group where other people in the group knows the strategy, then you're not figuring it out by yourself. Because you're basically sitting in the exam hall with no one watching whether you're cheating. And then, like, 7 other participants just filling in the answers, and then you can just look over their shoulder and read. And they did their homework. They're not cheating. They're just doing their they're just trying their best. They might be cheating. They might be glancing over at each other to see what they're doing. But you showed up with no idea what the answers are. You're basically like doing that Naruto exam where you just have to use your techniques to find the answer. Which is why blind groups would be the recommended way if you want to figure it out by yourself. All 7 of them are also cheating. Tell you what, Volvian, that would definitely be the funniest end result. Everyone showed up expecting everyone else to have done the homework. So basically, as I've said before, if you want to learn the fight by playing the game, you're doing yourself a disservice by not joining a blind group for that content. Jose Son Bun, hope you're doing well. But yeah, the real reason for the whole watching a guide instead of just learning on the fly is really being considerate to the other people around you, essentially. Which is also the reason why there are content where we're like, no, you don't have to watch a guide for that. Is because you can also be a little too considerate. And the difficulty is knowing where you draw the line. Let me put it like this. Most of the A Realm Reborn and even Heavensward extremes you can probably go in without watching a guide if you are really good at the intuitive part of understanding a boss fight. Like, if you're really good at that, and the thing is, a lot of players are not. And presumably, I would also add, there's probably also a lot of players that think they are, but they are not. But if you're really good... Oh, Shag is here. Fantastic. If you are really good at intuitively understanding mechanics, then you can pretty much go into a lot of those extremes and just guess what you need to do. And that'll be good enough. And that's also the reason why I'm like... Like, if you're going to do extremes, if you know that like the key here is like, if you don't know, then you don't know. But if you're hearing me say this, then you know, because you know me. That's where I'm saying, watch a job guide. It doesn't have to be mine. You could read a job guide if you prefer. But just check a job guide for the level that you are going to be doing the extreme on. Just to check that your intuitive understanding of the job is correct. Because while you might be correct, it's not very considerate to the people around you if it turns out that you're not correct. And exactly as Sarah says, understanding mechanics on the fly is a skill that needs training. If you watch a guide for every single duty that you do, then you will learn how to do those mechanics, presumably. But you may not learn how to know that that's what the mechanic means. Which does lead to weird situations where you see a Cyclops or Minotaur or something like that mob, the guys that walk at you, mirrored camera, like this, with a big club, and then they do this, and you don't know, he's gonna do a circle AoE and it's gonna hurt. Because every time such a mob or boss came up, it said so in the guide. So you're like, you might have been looking at, he's casting the thing. Rather than look at the actual enemy. You don't realize that when the boss does this, it means gonna cleave this, because you've not really thought about it. So it is a very, very important, it is really difficult, because I can be like, watch a guide for an extreme. As I said, you can't know where the line is drawn without seeing it be problematic. As I said, if it's your first extreme trial, how could you possibly know that it is so hard that you should read a guide or watch a guide or something to be prepared for it? How could you know? You couldn't. You could guess, you could ask around, but on your own, you might not be able to know. And when you see a normal raid, you couldn't possibly know. When you see an alliance raid, you couldn't possibly know. Case in point, when I got into the game, I did that one extreme trial, Ultima Weapon Extreme, failed, and determined, that kind of content is too hard for just queuing into. I also never did any normal raids, and at the time, Crystal Tower wasn't necessary, so I never did any alliance raids either. Because I didn't want to do hard content in Final Fantasy XIV when I got into it. I specifically came into the game to be a casual. Well, I believe there's also something funny about the German and French translations not using hard and extreme. I think the German one uses something particularly scary to describe these duties. I came into the game to chop wood. Oh, nice. Silver says, when I started, I watched guides even for normal dungeons. And then the one time I decided to not do it, it was for old Aurum Vale. And one person left because I didn't know. What? Huh? That is weird. But yeah, also to the people saying that this feels like seeing your chill teacher be angry for the first time. I'm not even angry. I'm not even mad. I ain't even mad. As was pointed out, I'm passionate. Kaiju Furby came to the game for the... By the way, a Kaiju Furby? How big is a Kaiju Furby? A Kaiju is an unusually big creature, isn't it? Is a Kaiju Furby like the size of like Godzilla? Or is it just like person-sized? You can't deny that he's Ruby, right? But yeah, I'm not angry about as I said, I regularly end up in extreme trials with people that are clearly not prepared, and I just shake my head. Like, oh man, I have to deal with this. So how could I possibly get furious at someone being like, I don't want to watch guides? I think I'm just disappointed. The key there, where I'm truly disappointed, is when I see someone that like, I have sometimes described individuals in extreme trials as, this person is clearly not prepared for this. Like, they get completely overwhelmed by the mechanics, and rotationally, they don't seem to know what they're doing. Would you rather fight 1,000 Furby-sized Godzillas or one Godzilla-sized Furby? You know, I actually think the Godzilla-sized Furby would be less threatening. However, I think 1,000 Furby-sized Godzillas would be less mass than one Godzilla-sized Furby. So the many very tiny Godzillas might be easier to fight. Yeah, exactly, Sunbun. That is usually how it goes, and that's also why I said, and I've said time and again, you can't possibly fault someone for stepping into an extreme not realizing what it is that they signed up for. Everyone needs to have that first chance. The logical explanation for why some mentors get very angry about it. Some mentors get very angry about it. Is that everyone deserves their first time to learn these things, right? But it might be the 100th time that that mentor has had to deal with that. And while they might understand that this first time I couldn't possibly know, it doesn't change the fact that they're getting a little exhausted. You're just getting a bunch of iguanas. Would the mini Godzilla still have nuclear breath? But yeah, it's a difficult balance to strike. We've talked about this multiple times on these streams before. And that's ultimately also what I'm getting at, is that if you know, then you should probably do your homework. If you don't know, then how could you possibly know, right? Which is also the reason why when someone asks me, I'm like, well, you opened Pandora's box. You can't feign ignorance anymore because you asked me. I will tell you what's up. And I will tell you that if you're going to queue for an extreme, you better have done your homework. Sunbun says, if it's something like an AI extreme, I'd definitely give the Sprouts a pass. But if they queued us up for Endsinger extreme, I'm calling my lawyer. You know, the highest extreme I have landed in Mental Roulette is Rathalos extreme and Susano extreme. Beyond that, I've seen every extreme from Heavensward and the Realm of Orn. But I've never seen anything beyond that. I like to imagine that by the time you hit Stormblood, if you are the kind of player to queue for extremes, you have surely attempted it in a Realm of Orn or Heavensward. And if you tried it in a Realm of Orn, and you were, you know, good enough that it kinda worked out, so you were like, oh, that's a little harder, but that's manageable, then you could reach Heavensward, and then you get something like Nidhogg, and just get completely dumpstered because no one in your party knew the thing about the spikes. And that's when you go, oh, oops. But it feels so unlikely that you would reach Stormblood if you are the type to do this. Without having tried. Are you asking me, Fern? Because I've never landed it. I have landed in Voidcast Days normal. Not extreme. But I do believe I have landed in something like Voidcast Days, and someone made a point of saying that they didn't want to be told how to do it. I do believe someone in the chat may have gotten Voidcast Days Extreme at some point. But it wasn't me. I would have remembered. There was one time where I got Thought in Extreme, where like half the raid didn't even realize that it was Thought in Extreme until halfway through the intermission. That one was legendary. We even beat it first try. With a lot of deaths. But we beat it first try. And I will also add on this conversation that if I land in an extreme that I haven't done before synced, the way that I go about it is roughly the same as you see on stream. The difference is that instead of saying, should we go over tactics, I say I haven't done this one before, or I haven't done this one in a while. Can someone explain me the important points? And if I get no answer, I will start looking up a guide. The difference being that I could read every single guide for every single extreme, but it wouldn't stick without, you know, getting some practical experience in. But I would also argue that I have demonstrated skill in intuiting how a fight works. But it is a complicated conversation exactly because of that. Jose Myro song? Hope you're doing well. And Saturos? Redmaster says the one I can understand the most for people not knowing the difficulty is Odin. Odin is also really weird. I would also say even that Odin is a fight that really only tests fundamentals. The boss is looking at your tank and casting something. What do? Defensive cooldown. The boss summons ads. What do? Kill them. And so on and so forth. Like, the one thing that is a little difficult to intuit is when he randomly just fires AoEs that applies an attack speed slow.
Take the lid down, and you should find yourself in the chamber of the ultimate weapon.
But even then, that's not something that will kill you most of the time. So you're fine.
Keep your eyes peeled. Gaius could be waiting for you down there. Oh, and don't even think about dying. You're too bloody useful. The interference is getting worse.
I would also just get back to that one, Silver Portal. I've seen, like, in Aurum Vale before, like, ages ago, I've had groups for that where, like, I would say we had something worse than someone who didn't know. Like, I think it was, like, late Stormblood or something. Could also have been early Shadowbringers. I'm not 100% sure. But that would be even more concerning.
Is an instrument of deception.
I land in there, full Ironworks Magitech gear, leveling like Monk or something. The other DPS is also full Magitech gear, you know, level 50, shrink down. The tank is a Dark Knight, still wearing the level 30 weapon they started with. And the healer was a genuine Sprout, White Mage, with a level 35 weapon. The Sprout seemed genuinely like Sprouty Sprout. Whereas the tank, the reason why their gear was so they were so underprepared gear-wise, as they explained, was because they had leveled through Palace of the Dead this whole time. And then, just before they hit level 30, they wanted to mix things up a bit. So they decided to queue for leveling Roulette and landed in Aurum Vale. Not even considering the fact they had not done their job quest and they had garbage equipment. We cleared the whole first room before having that conversation, learning all this. Like, we cleared the whole place just for XP reasons. And no one as much as blinked. Yeah, that makes sense in a way, that some people want to clear the packs because, like, the XP in Aurum Vale was good if you're, like, the appropriate level. So it made sense. Sort of. But then we hit the first boss, and let's just say, if me and the other DPS went all out, then the tank could not hold aggro. They didn't do enough, like, they couldn't do it. And if we didn't go full blast, then the healer didn't have enough MP, and we wiped. Just slower. We did several pulls, determined that the only way this is going to work is either if the healer's replaced with, like, you know, a god tier healer that could just heal a DPS, or replace the tank with a stronger tank. And I didn't want to kick the healer, who was clearly a Sprout. The tank knew what they signed up for, and they just decided to not do, like, not do their homework and fix their gear and do their job quests. They specifically even specified that they had a level 50 weapon ready, but they were level 49. So, like, I was leaning more to kicking them, but I didn't want to kick anyone, so ultimately we voted abandon. After clearing the whole pack and spending like 20-30 minutes in Aurum Vale. Whole different conversation than, you know, just not knowing. If you don't know what to do, that can be fixed. You can just be explained what to do. If your gear is not up to the task, then there's little we can do. Your gear can't become up to the task while you're here. And to be fair, also on the job and class thing, Kaiju Furby, it's not like the game makes a huge point of saying you should go and get your job. Oh, K did the Cape Westwind on Thought and Normal. Now that is glorious. Mistral says, there's a person that runs content without a job stone, and that's fine. Challenging yourself intentionally is fine. The problem, they do it in Duty Finder a lot. Yeah. This takes me back to my challenge streams back in Endwalker. For those that didn't see those, for instance, I would run duties with a full pre-made, but I might, for instance, run expert roulette like this, or like this, and that worked. But it was I was definitely not performing as well as I could. When we got to alliance raids, I would generally only, like, the greatest challenge I would allow myself was something like have all spell effects on, because that's funny. But I'm not going to have some randos be forced to sit in on the memes that I'm making. Like, they didn't sign up to be part of my challenge. And sometimes people would suggest challenges and I would decline them, specifically because if it's like, it has to be a challenge for me. Like, for instance, a suggestion would be something like, do a duty with no accessories on, or without your job stone, or without using mitigation, or without, like, so and so. The key is, for instance, if a tank is not using mitigation, or doesn't have their accessories on, or isn't using their rotation right, that makes it harder for the healer. Doesn't make it harder for me. Arguably, if I'm allowed to play my rotation poorly, that makes it easier for me. It just means I have to click less buttons. Exactly so. That's what I did, is that I would stream it, and I would just round up people that, you know, they knew what they signed up for. I did a run of a duty like this. Just walking. And what was pretty funny was that before we had reached the first boss, the whole party had decided that we're going to do it like this. As a team. So yeah, if you're challenging yourself, then make sure that the challenge is for you, not for your team. Like, for instance, a person doing a duty undergeared deliberately, or without a job stone deliberately, are making things harder for everyone else. For themselves, maybe, but definitely for everyone else. Like, for instance, this one is a little bit contentious. I will say that for the most part, it kind of works out. But for instance, the meta in speedrunning A Realm Reborn is to play Conjurer. Not White Mage. You don't have time to do the job quests. Conjurer. Which means that minus Cure 2. So no Cure 2. This is your toolkit. This up here. But no Cure 2. This is it. That's all it's gonna be. Everything where it says job, you don't get those. And you don't get Cure 2 either. Pretty hard to keep a tank alive that pulls big. But you probably can do it. And then the question is whether it's harder for you or the tank, the DPS. That actually also in a way, kind of circles back to a conversation we've had before. A common request to the duty roulettes and to duties that long-term players have asked for is basically any duty from Braveflock's long stop and beyond, where the level requirement is over 30. It kind of makes sense to put this kind of restriction. And I'm specifically switching to Blue Mage to demonstrate that the feature is in the game. Essentially, the request is duties that are level 30 or above, hence, you could have a job crystal. Should, if you're not in a full pre-made, should require you to have it. And equip it. And wear it. But what if they're just playing their character? Look, even in D&D, that one is problematic. It's what my character would do. Well, then I guess your character will die. Or be left behind in the inn. Because the rest of the team doesn't want you. Cases they might not be far enough in the MSQ to have unlocked jobs, but also at that point they don't have any of the dungeons that would be restricted. Exactly. If you hit level 30... and can't... like, it's very real, a very real possibility that you're level, like, 35 or 50 even, depending on what kind of content you've been doing, before you do self-management, which is level 20 quest, by the way. But the only way you could have duties past Ifrit normal while not having done self-management is by deliberately going out of your way to find optional quests to unlock them. But somehow not have done the quote-unquote optional quest that is your job quest. You get what I mean, right? Like, basically, any justification for, well, I could have access to a dungeon that I then can't queue for because I don't have a job, can be countered with, yeah, but why didn't you just do the quest to unlock your job? My quest log is full, job quest later. Bruh. You know, that could be a real problem. If you just, like, went into... oops, sorry. Into every city and grabbed every single quest and didn't do them. Yeah, that's how I feel on the topic, is that... and this one is actually twofold. The reason why I think it would make sense to do this is both because... it's annoying for the players, you know, did their preparations to have to deal with someone who's, you know, either deliberately or accidentally not prepared, haven't done their job quests, right? It's annoying for those people. But it would also help the new players. Kaiju says, I was wondering why you sounded so familiar. Turns out I watched your Summoner Guide back when I was learning it a year ago. Oh, fantastic. Nice. Sweet. But yeah, like, what you could do is that they could just go, like, you play through your quest, you, like, say you unlock Braveflock's Longstop, but you're a gladiator. Not a paladin. Just goes, you know, job, Disciples of War Magic, classes can participate only in a preformed party meeting party size requirements or an unrestricted party, and if duty rules allow. And then, like, maybe underneath that, have, like just, you know, a button similar to how, like, if you have a job quest underneath your MSQ box here, it will tell you the name and of your job quest, and if you click on it, it will actually open your map and show you where it is. You just have that button here as well. You just, like, next job quest or something. You just click that. Or next class quest or whatever. Just to click that, and it just opens that and shows you where to go. Like, you need to do that. That's why I brought it up now. It's not to be like, oh, while we're on the topic of dunking on sprouts. No. It's specifically because actually now that I think about it, it would also be nice for the sprouts to be told. Just tell them. You need to do this. That you have to. Mistral says the only other problem is that people truly could not care. I had a problem on NA with another clown who intentionally does this, but because they're popular, people gang up on you for being fed up. What? That would also be a way to do it, Eater It, I suppose. Mr. Are you saying that there's someone who just regularly queues as a class, but because they're popular, it's okay? I haven't heard about it in a while, but I heard, at least in Endwalker, might also be in Dawntrail, that there was a guy on EU data centers. As I recall, the explanation was they queued as healer, it landed in the duty, and if the tank pulled more than one pack at a time, they would voice a complaint. They'd be mad about something, and then they would leave. Because they wanted to go slow. I haven't run into them. But it's like a case where, like, sometimes it comes up and people are like, oh yeah, that guy. Hedgehog says, sprouts don't learn if you don't tell them. I always had older players telling me so nicely what I needed to do, and it was great. I haven't forgotten. I forgot it. Yeah, the thing is, like, basically how it goes, Kaiju, it actually circles back to something I said a little bit before, that the reason why, like, for instance, in the extreme trials thing, you have a sprout that, you know, queues for an extreme trial. They don't know that it's actually really hard content, and they maybe should have prepared better. But, you know, that's fair. How could they have known? But some mentors have had to deal with, you know, abstract that player, that kind of player, so many times that for them, while they might understand that you couldn't possibly have known, it's like, yeah, but it's like the 100th time that they've had to deal with this. It gets a little bit exhausting. In a similar fashion, some mentors eventually... some players eventually give up on trying to teach sprouts stuff because they get no response or a negative response, or the sprout just doesn't care, which I guess is also a negative response. And that does lead to, like, eventually some of the more veteran players will be like, well, I mean, maybe they'll figure it out eventually. There's also the whole white knighting aspect to it that sometimes comes up, where you have the audacity to tell a sprout a tip on how to play their job. Surely they'll learn it eventually, or don't tell the healer to attack, just let them figure it out on their own. It's like, yeah, but if they're never attacking, how will they ever dare to attack? And then they'll hit level 90 or 100, and they'll be so cemented in their ways that when someone else tells them to attack, they will remember you defending them, choosing not to attack, not the person asking if you could attack a little bit. And they will decide that if I was right all along that they should have attacked, then they've played the game incorrectly for a year. Easier to accept that I was wrong. That is why sometimes that is why it sometimes comes down to, could we have the game explain it? Because the players that could explain it will eventually tire out. Also, hey Mer, hope you're doing well. And yeah, that is one that is very noticeable, isn't it? The dancer's not using standard finish. The bot's not using their songs. It's an archer, actually. Jextis says, which communities would you all recommend to find people who want to do old extremes or bordering on extreme Hello Earth's found content? Well, I did research the Discords. All of the people, of course, are doing the latest stuff, which I didn't get to yet at all. Doesn't Archer still have songs, though? Ooh. No. This up here is what Archers have, meh. And if you don't do your class quiz, I don't think you have Repelling Shot. Although, you know, not a huge loss. Take off your job stone and try? I can't. I don't have a bow that isn't a bard bow. Did you mean performance? To your question, Jextis, Syncademy, as Tremere mentioned. If you are in the community Discord, I believe Zaf regularly hangs out with Syncademy. I think Girahin, aka Naomi, also does. Thank you, Yordle. And hey, Rodan. Hope you're doing well as well. Brunton says, I had a Dragoon alternate their buffs recently, where the party buff one was on the 2-minute and the personal on the off. So they just sat on Lance Charge for a minute. Nice. Oh man, that's a good one. I have mentioned, I think I put that in my mistakes DPS make, specifically melee DPS. I think included it in. I think I might have included it in ranged DPS, ranged physical as well, from back in Endwalker. Was the stacked, like the staggered buffs, with the like the logical explanation is that, well, if I space out my damage buffs over time, then I can maintain a damage boost for longer. So that, like, instead of me putting all of my eggs in one basket and really needing to deliver in that time frame, I can just, you know, deliver a little bit over a longer period of time. Not realizing that just the way 14 is designed doesn't work like that. I think I did that once upon a time in World of Warcraft. Oh, true, you also need to do the class quest for Windbite. Oof. But to be fair, Mer, you can sing a song as any job. I think. Never mind. That is funny. Is that true? I was actually confident you could do it as any job. Look at what I know. I basically never used these. But that actually, case in point, you are right. You're right. I suppose that just reading this era, Archer can too. Because it's complaining about the class, not the job. But also, yeah, you can't unlock performance without unlocking Bard first. Can you demonstrate singing for us? What is this singing you speak of? I've never heard it in my life. What do you mean music? What are those tones playing in the background? I have noticed in certain areas of the game, there's like this weird noise happening while I'm fighting. The trumpet man. Was he valuable? Hope you're doing well. Just play the game muted, bruh. What is this? Oh yeah, the musicalness of Chaos Thrust and Chaotic Spring. But yeah, in conclusion, do your homework. Do your homework, kids. And this set of mental relays also got quite weird. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Guildhests, including Solemn Trinity. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 normal raids, including a 20-minute replacement on Refurbisher Zero. And we also got 1, 2. Was it only 2? 2 extremes. Including a 30-minute replacement in Thornmarsh. And did we get anything else? Oh yes, an MSQ Roulette and a Mistwake. And level 100 duty. Light is weird. Yeah, that is a good point. I do feel like but although to be fair, we started with being replacement on Howling Blade and some Guildhests, including Solemn Trinity, and then we went to light, and then we got this. So chaos was also a little weird tonight. Tonight was weird. Yeah, for you coming in very late to the conversation, I imagine, and for others that also came in very late. The conversation is a very extended topic that we came back to a few times. That was basically originated from, if you're going to queue for an extreme trial, if you know that it is content that might be difficult, do your homework. Do your homework. Which means watch a guide or read a guide on the job you're playing. Check that you know how the job is supposed to play at level 50. You might know. Just check that you know for sure. You know, compare your notes to the correct answer. Just, you know, check the correction sheet. And, you know, maybe watch a guide on the fight that you're queuing for. Granted, the mentors you're going to land in the duty with might be less prepared than that. But they might also be significantly more prepared than that. And if they're less prepared than that, and they're good mentors, they'll know how to look up the information, and they will figure it out in the moment. You know that you're going to land in that duty. So you might as well do that homework before you enter. Like, some very funny incidents I've had include cases where I've landed in an extreme trial, and the one that actually explained the fight to everyone was the Sprout. They did their homework. And I say it like that because I have no problem with trying an extreme trial in Mental Roulette. But it's a little sad when the reason why we're having trouble is because someone has no idea what they're doing. If they knew better. Because everyone, as I said a few times tonight, has to have their first time. You can't possibly know that extremes are that hard. It's not very clear from the text. Especially not when to unlock extremes you have to have done hard duties first, which are not hard. And if you really, really insist on not watching a guide or anything, at least be welcome to listen. I'll say, procrastinauts, hope you're doing well. Procrastinaut says, I can't imagine queuing for an extreme without watching a guide. I wait to do any new patch dungeons until a guide has been posted. Then I still do it with NPCs because I just don't want to deal with the drama. I will say that regular content, non-extreme and beyond, are pretty safe to go in and learn on the fly. But I would also say if you're doing it with NPCs, I would highly recommend going in blind and see if you can figure out the mechanics yourself. But I'm not gonna force your hand on that. It's just me saying that's actually content where I don't think anyone would be mad if you went in blind. A particular example of where the duty support can help a lot with teaching is that I was told yesterday that the second boss in Mistwake, there is an extremely easy safe spot that I might have overlooked that the duty support NPCs go to for Galloping Thunder. I don't know what it is. I haven't done it with duty support. Good night, Vespi. I will also add, I have the advantage when I'm going into dungeons for the first time and even trials for the first time that I usually round up, like we usually do them in the community. So if I want to say, hey, hold, there's text on the ground that I want to read. Most of the time, whoever I'm bringing will be like, oh yes, of course, the text on the ground. So like we go at whatever pace we want. I have a bit of an advantage there. Grassonaut says, I basically just don't do any content with other players at this point unless it's the only option. Too many years of reading Reddit and YouTube comments saying stay out of public groups if you're not perfect. I will say, Procrastinauts, as a recipient of a large amount of YouTube comments and reader of said YouTube comments, I can assure you that the people that talk like that are an extremely small percentage of players and usually apply to very specific content. And they tend to be, how should I say it? They're a little bit like, have you ever seen those like videos on the internet of like dogs where there's like a shield between them, like a fence or something, and like both dogs are like they're ready for battle, and then you remove the fence and then they're like, oh me? No, I don't have any problems. Which is to say, the reason why they're that hot-headed is because they're behind the shield of being anonymous. And in reality, they will not act like that if you meet them in the game. So I feel like I can pretty confidently say you don't have to worry about those. Both the Reddit comments and the YouTube comments are pretty exaggerated versions. Like, I also say here, like, I say what I say about what I think you should do when preparing for an extreme trial. But as you see, when I actually land in an extreme trial through Mentor Roulette, I just say, should we talk about tactics or just give it a go? And some people will say first time and still say, let's give it a go. And then sometimes it works out, and sometimes we wipe, and then we talk about it. And sometimes I have to explain the same mechanic 4 times. Last week, Ramu Extreme. And we still try. But that doesn't change the fact that if someone is gonna debate me on whether it would make sense to watch a guide before you queue in with strangers, that's gonna be difficult to convince me otherwise. If you know better. But it's not like I'm gonna be cross with you when you're there. It's like, well, guess you'll have to learn now from me instead then, because we're not beating this unless you get it. I'm not gonna be mad about it. You queued into the duty in the game. It's an option in the game. Like, it's just how it is. Which also circles back to, like, as I said before, I'm very passionate about the fact that I do think that it makes sense to, like, do your homework if you're going into actually hard content, and you know you are. Hence why I said the trick is that I'm like the sleeper agent. If you land in these streams and hear me say it, then you can't feign ignorance. You heard me tell you. Do your homework. Find a pre-made that is okay with the homework you have done. But no one's saying you have to be perfect. In fact, I have a video basically discussing the concept of, do you have to be perfect to Savage Raid? No, you don't. No, you don't. Imagine how it would look if everyone was perfect in Savage Raiding. Wouldn't that be crazy? You just one pull every boss. Not even on reclears. Anyway, with that said... Oh, thank you, Erdl. Erdl found the specific video. That was fast. Amazing. That said, I think we're gonna wrap up the stream for tonight. So, on the Discord end, we'll probably be raiding somewhere. But with that said, if you'd like to be part of the Discord community server, there's a link right there in the chat. There you'll find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in coming days. Usually updated Sunday or Monday. You'll also find the announcement room with links to videos and streams when I put them out. And if you grab the reminder roll in the roller sentence room, you'll get a notification whenever I post a video or stream. As well as the next one around 15 minutes before stream starts, and you can catch it right when we go live. And if you'd like to support the channel even more directly, you can like, follow, subscribe, become a member, super chat, cheer, all that goodness. If you don't like any of that, there's the Ko-Fi link that Outlaw is posting right there in the chat. It all helps support me and the channel directly so I can focus on doing stuff like this with all of you. So thank you so much for the support. Yeah, we are indeed raiding Ilana, but but yeah, also just a quick advertisement while I remember. Those of you that have seen the schedule, Friday Gold Saucer stream seems that it will be 18 GMT plus 1. So an hour later than normal. But that will be it from me. So good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where in the world, and hope to see you all very soon. Bye-bye.